Welcome to the Giants Huddle podcast with Jonathan Casillas, and I have a special guest here, Brandon Short, former New York Giant linebacker, Penn State alumni. Even though I went to Wisconsin, we're still brothers at arms, right?
Yeah.
Ladies and
Represent
gentlemen,
the Big Ten and
Brandon Short.
linebackers.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir. So, man, talk to me, man. I know you have a foundation that you started. It is the Karli Short Better Tomorrow Foundation. Can you give us, what it is and why did you start it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for taking the time to have me on the show to talk about this important issue. Gun violence is run rampant throughout the country, and it's important that we all speak up to do what we can to try to address it. In 2021, I experienced every parent's worst nightmare and lost my daughter and her unborn child to a senseless act of gun violence. Losing a child is devastating and traumatic, and my family and I, really struggled with a way to, cope. We face anger, sadness, and we just, I'm still figuring out how to cope. To be honest with you. But unfortunately, we're not alone in this trauma. Every day over 110 Americans die of gun-related injuries. The leading cause of death for children is gun-related injuries. In 2000, over 45,000 Americans died from guns. And every time I turn on the television, I see another mass shooting, and it brings up all the pain in me every time. I see the families, I see their suffering, and want to figure out a way to reach out to them and help them. So when my wife and I looked, at gun violence advocacy, we saw a lot of organizations in place that were working to prevent gun violence, but not very many that were working to support the victims and the survivors, people dealing with the fallout of gun violence. I serve as a member of Penn State's Board of Trustees, and I believe that education is the key to offering young people opportunities. And that said, college is expensive and extremely challenging under any circumstances, much less someone suffering from the fallout from gun violence. So as a result, my wife and I formed the Karli Short Better Tomorrow Foundation that provides scholarships and mental health support for young people, for college students, grappling with the fallout from gun violence.
I was able to look at some of the testimonies from some of the scholarship recipients, and you can hear the pain in their voices when they speak about some incidents that happen to them and the things that they're dealing with because of it. Why choose that route, the education route? Why choose that route for the scholarships?
Well, I guess that education is upward mobility and opportunity for everyone. I believe that all the world's problems, not all of them, but most of them can be solved through education. All the division in the country and division around the world that you see, not liking someone or being in a tribe, is because people don't know and don't take time to really understand each other. And, most of the world's problems can be solved through economics as well. People having a job, having an opportunity to take care of themselves and feed their families. And the best way that you can provide people that opportunity, both enlightening them to understand people's differences and be accepting, and giving them an opportunity to take care of their families, is providing an education. So, my wife and I couldn't think of a better way to honor our daughter's memory than to create an entire generation of people that may have been suffering from the fallout from gun violence, but providing them that education, and hopefully they can go off and become leaders to influence others and just pay it forward and help others in a similar way.
And how many scholarships have been given out so far?
So in our first year, we raised $650,000, and
Wow.
we endowed 3 scholarships, meaning so they will be at Penn State forever. as long as the endowment is managed properly. But we're looking to grow. We're want to grow and offer more scholarships. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be able to offer 6, but expand it beyond Penn State and beyond Pennsylvania, and grow it nationally. But like anything, when you're starting something large, you start small, you start at home. And as you mentioned, we're Big Ten. I'm Penn State, so I started with Penn State, and we plan to grow from there.
So you grew up in McKeesport. That is also the town where the incident happened at with your daughter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of McKeesports around the country. I'm from Jersey City, New Jersey.
Yeah.
You got Newark, you got Camden, you got Trenton. I guess what would be an advice you would give to somebody like myself who is an advocate to help younger kids? I'm always in the school system. I have a camp coming up this Saturday for the youth. What would be your advice to somebody like myself who is a father as well, that grew up in areas that gun violence runs rampant in?
Look, whether you realize it or not, you're doing it already by being an example, by setting an example for young people that that you can expand and rise above your current circumstances and be successful. But also, use like you particularly, and people like us that have platforms. We've been blessed with a lot, and we have a responsibility to use that platform to make a positive impact on our communities. And communities like McKeesport, it was the 4th most dangerous place in the United States in 2019, in Camden and Newark. Guns are a scourge. Guns are an epidemic. And I lived abroad and for 10 years, and lived in Dubai for 6 years, and London for 4 years. And I recently came back to the United States. And sometimes, so living abroad, you can see America and see things more clearly. And America is the land of hope and opportunity. Everybody wants to come to the US for all the things it has to offer. But our problem with guns is a uniquely American problem. In London, or in the United Kingdom, there were 160 gun-related murders, in 2020. In the United States, there were 45,000.
Wow.
The difference is that no one has guns in the United Kingdom. And I'm not suggesting taking all the guns away, but you remove the guns, they have mental health issues that need to be addressed, just like we have in the United States. And mental health is a massive issue that we need to address, but it's not mental health. It is the guns. And we need to do everything that we can, not to take guns away, but to put reasonable controls around them. In 1994, there was an assault weapons ban. When I was at the Giants in 2000 through 2000 to 2004, you couldn't buy an assault weapon. Assault weapons go on the street. All of a sudden, you have these mass shootings happening. It's reasonable. The majority of Americans believe in this and agree with it. We just have to have the political courage and will to get it done.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're not getting rid of that Second Amendment. That thing been there for a long time, and people in America, they're not willing to give up their guns. So I'm thinking, how do we, fix the problem with the guns? You can't get rid of the guns. No. But how do we fix the problem with the guns? Of course, I think I always love to go to the youth and like you said, with the education, getting them, equipped with knowledge early and having them not be so desensitized. I feel like America, you go to other countries, like you said, you were in Dubai, you were in London. America's so desensitized to shootings. They're so desensitized to violence. We see it on all of our programming, all of our TV shows, all of our movies, and it's sad to say, but I don't mind a movie that has a lot of violence. I played a violent sport for a long time. But the shootings, I feel like it has so much to do with not just the law of, you can carry a gun legally in the United States, but also the messages that people are seeing on a consistent basis. And look, I think you're doing the right thing in what you're doing in your foundation. I'm gonna keep making my push on this side, and I guess what would be some advice to people that are in our shoes, who don't have the platform that we have? Because just like you probably feel before everything happened with your daughter, you felt obligated to do certain things, like I feel obligated to do certain things. What about somebody that maybe doesn't have the platform that we have? What could they do to help combat this?
I think they need to. There's multiple ways to fight this battle. Like my family and I chose a non-political avenue through, supporting, people who've actually been affected by gun violence. But we won't stop it unless we get to the root cause. It's a political issue. And it shouldn't be Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal. It should be about life and death. And write your congressman or congresswoman, your senator, raise up, make it an issue that's going to bring you to the ballot. And not speaking about taking guns away, no question, but you shouldn't be able to buy a gun if you have a history of mental illness. You've been in an institution, you shouldn't be able to buy a weapon. Assault weapons. Like I come from England and I go hunting, pheasant hunting. These people are marksmen, but there's no reason why you have an AK-47 other than to attack, or an M16 or any assault type weapons. I mean, it's not reasonable or fathomable. The police are outgunned. The police have a tough job, the toughest job in the world, because every time they go up to a car, they're in fear for their lives. Right? They don't know whether the person has a gun. So yeah, it's a political issue, and people need to mobilize and get out and like vote on this matter. Like it has to be something that is critically important. And even for me, it was always important. This is something that I always believed. But until this happens to you, you realize that like it doesn't have to be this way.
Yeah. A little bit of a lighter side. I saw videos from the gala that was hosted by Spice Adams. You had him
Yeah.
MC. He's such a character. And then I also saw so many people in attendance, like LeVar Arrington, Curtis Martin.
Yeah.
What did that night mean to you? Because that was the inaugural gala last year, right?
Yeah, we had the inaugural gala last year, and we had another gala this year. We had it within a year time frame, but just all the people that came out, it was unbelievable. The NFL, Allison Stangoodby, the Giants have been like the Maras and the Tishes. Man, this is La Familia for life, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they really, really, the Giants really stepped up, man, and I won't forget it. But even the league office, this was a brotherhood. Like Kurt Martin, who's from McKeesport, my hometown, who came out. Franco Harris, God rest his soul. Franco showed up and came out. So just seeing so many people to come out and offer that type of support, it's helpful, because I needed it, and I still do.
Yeah, no doubt. And looking at your career while you were playing, you played 7 years. You did your first 4 with the New York Giants, getting drafted in the 4th round by the Giants.
Yeah.
2 years in Carolina, and then you came back to New York.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that? Was that your choice? Like, I gotta go back to New York and finish my career there. Why did you go back?
Well, I wasn't hoping to finish my career there, but I was hoping to finish it, but not in 1 year.
Not in 1 year.
But not in 1 year. But yeah, I mean, I'm a New York Giant. I got drafted by the Giants. Even when I became a free agent, John Fox was the defensive coordinator at the Giants. He picked up the phone when he drafted me. He became the coach of the Carolina Panthers, and I was a free agent, and that's where I went to Carolina.
Yeah.
And I had a big cap number and had an injury, and my agent said, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "I want to go back home." So I came and I started and finished my career as a Giant. There's no place like Big Blue. I left the country, went to Dubai, went to London, and here I am, sitting in Newark right now. So it just keeps coming back, man.
No doubt, no doubt. I started my career in New Orleans.
Okay.
I'm a Jersey boy, And, I signed with New York in 2015,
Yeah.
and Spagnola was a defensive coordinator, and
Yeah.
I had him 1 year in New Orleans. So Spags brought me home,
Yeah.
and I was able to play in front of my family for my last 3 years, which were really good years besides the last year where I was just, I was hurt like every game.
Yeah.
But it's something special about playing for this franchise. Like you said, the Maras, the Tishes, Allison Stangy. Like me and her, she's like, I love her so much. Every time I see her, I give her a big hug. And she's upstairs. She's not one of the coaches. She's not in the forefront. She's somebody that's helped me do the things that I could do in New Jersey for the youth through the Giants. And that's why for me, I love being a Giants legend. They appoint me to so many different events with the youth, play 60, whatever, because when I first signed up, I was like, anything you got in Jersey City and New Brunswick, like if you give it to somebody else, like I'm coming upstairs, I'm gonna be mad. But the Giants, they always do a great job in facilitating events for kids, for youth, for at-risk youth. They go to Patterson. They give out grants every year. I partnered with them for my camp this weekend. Moving forward, I see that you're in the finances, right? You went to Dubai for a while, and now you're on the committee. What are you, the director of mergers and acquisitions for Round Hill Capital? Is that still what you're doing?
No, I'm a portfolio manager for PGM Real Estate.
Okay.
It's a real estate private equity company where we raise capital and invest it on our investors' behalf and invest it into the real estate space. So I made the transition, after I retired from the Giants, I went to Columbia Business School, started working at Goldman Sachs in the real estate investment banking division in New York, moved to Dubai with Goldman, then moved to London with a real estate private equity firm, and then now I'm back in the U.S. With PGM Real Estate.
So what's next for you, and what's next for the foundation? You have any events coming up anytime soon? I know you just finished with your second gala.
Yeah.
And what else is I guess next? Let's go foundation first. What's next for the foundation, and then what's next for Brandon Short?
The gala is a focal point to bring people's attention to the event again, but we do fundraising efforts they year round. We'll probably do a tailgate at a Penn State football game, and then our next gala, I believe my wife has it scheduled for June 8th in Pittsburgh at the Omni William Penn. But we're working with our kids. Now I'm working with the university about getting a former mentorship program for each one of our scholars, because I've personally mentored the first three. But as it grows, I won't have the capacity to mentor 15 kids. So we're looking at assigning a former alumni mentor to each one of our students, and we're looking at potentially even to expanding into other schools.
That's awesome. And so, Brandon Short, what do you have on the agenda next, besides, of course, the foundation work that you're doing?
Well, I mean, my goal now is to come back and I'm a part of a great organization with PGM, who they've been very supportive of the foundation as well, to launch this fund and make it as successful, as possible. To grow it and grow the business. I'm in a unique position where I'm a portfolio manager and I'm really a senior person in the fund. And beyond that, hopefully, continue to make an impact on the world, make a positive impact on people's lives. And when I'm gone, leave it a little bit better for other people.
Well, I guess we can end on that note, man. Look, it was a pleasure talking to you. It was a pleasure studying up about your story. My condolences to you and your family. Your daughter sounds like such a special human being, and I'm so glad somebody like you, is able to kind of carry on her legacy and do so much for others. So thank you again for your time. This is Jonathan Casillas with the Giant Huddle Podcast. My man, Brandon Short. Thanks a lot.
All right, man. Thanks.